So the first thing what I want to do is just remove all the unnecessary things in app and just have a normal title element, right? Just a normal title text. So I don't want to have all these guys. Remove them. Node doesn't have the DOM itself. Only the browser has the DOM because DOM is nothing but the client side. Node is a server side thing. So to have that additional functionality, we are having the just DOM package. That's it. To be able to scan for document object model testing. That's it. Because React needs that, right? If you want to test some components, it's at the end of the day just HTML elements. Even though we are writing components, it is just HTML elements at the end of the day. So we need to have the ability to check for elements. That is why. Okay, perfect. All right, so I don't want to complicate stuff. Let me just have a text called as hello world. All right. So this is going to be a normal component. I'm going to delete all the unnecessary things like logo.svg, service worker, and then come back to index.js, and then delete this as well. If you could see, now I didn't delete app.test.js as well as setup.tests.js. So let me come here and see what setup.tests.js is up to. Well, if you could see, we are able to add custom just matches with the help of just DOM as well as the ability to check for DOM elements. Could you see this? For asserting on DOM nodes. Allows you to do things like expect some element. You can have any element here, like let's say div tag, header tag, section tag, h1 tag, and you can have custom test matches like this because this was something we didn't have before. Only by adding this particular just DOM, we were able to have this particular package. And this particular file allows us to import all our required packages. If you want to add your own custom testing library, like let's say if you have become a senior engineer and you know how things work at the back end, and if you are creating your own testing library, or if you are importing any custom library, you can import it here. But testing library, React testing library and every other supplementary packages are being automatically imported because obviously it's being built by React itself, React team itself. So they do not want you to have that stress. They will automatically import these stuffs because again, just is a product of Facebook. React is also a product of Facebook. React testing library has become a product of Facebook as well. So that is the reason where they are selling it to you. But it's not wrong. They are doing a good job in performing all these tests. So it's worth it. All right. So once again, I'll go and visit app.js. It's just a text of hello world, and we are exporting this app component, all right? Now, if I come back to app.test.js, you could see we have a boilerplate here. Let me just tell you what this boilerplate is. Firstly, we are importing React. That is absolutely necessary because we are rendering JSX here. If we want to render JSX, we need to import the React component. Do you remember that? You can ask me, Sandeep, why are we not using it? Because this syntax is nothing but a syntactic sugar of React.createElement. Do you remember that? So that is the reason why we are using React. So React is must here. The next thing is we are using a package called render from the package testing library React itself. Render method is exactly the same as what you would see here on this particular render. It allows us to render whatever component we are expecting and it turns it into normal HTML. That's it. So what this render method gives is, it gives a bunch of methods, but they have already destructured some. If I put a comma and just select control space, you could see all of the available options. We will just go through them. We'll just go through some of them in the upcoming minutes. But as of now, you can see that the methods what we have is super declarative and super legible. I mean, literally, anyone could come and understand what this means. Get by text. What does this get by text mean? Well, get by text is nothing but a text value between the tags. That's it. A text value between the tags. But obviously now we cannot see what this learned react means because we have deleted everything. So instead, what you can do is you can either call this method and pass a string inside, or you can pass a regular expression like this. Because if you are passing strings inside, it will be case sensitive, meaning that if you have, like, let's say we are having a capital H, and if we are trying to test with a small h, it will give us an error. Strings are always case sensitive, whereas regular expressions are not case sensitive. That is why they have used regular expressions here. But if you don't know regular expressions, it's completely fine. We are going to move ahead with strings only. Okay. So let me just remove this and instead keep a string here as hello world. All right. And as you can see, the moment I get any text, you are getting that link element itself. They have named it as link element, but it could be any element. In our case, it was just a div tag. All right. And finally, we are using our normal just, and by the way, I forgot to mention this. Just is pre-baked inside create reactor. You won't see it here, but it is pre-baked inside create reactor itself. So you don't have to install just as well. Everything is inbuilt inside create reactor. So that's a good thing to know. And that is why we can already start writing just syntax. There is an ability to write a function called test, and then you can start using the expect, and you can start using the extra methods which is providing by just DOM, right? So now what I was saying is that once you check for this particular text checker, you will get the necessary element. Now you are checking whether that element exists in the document or not. In other words, whether that element is inside that HTML file or not. That's it. So npm run test, or I have to use yarn here, yarn run test. All right, now it's trying to work, tries to run, and yeah, it works. It says that it rendered the learn react link. Actually, it's not learn reacting, it should be rendering the app component, because we don't have any more that learn react functionality. But now let me try to have this in a smaller text, right? And as you can see, immediately when I save the file, it reruns the test automatically. But as you can see, it now has an error. It says that unable to find an element with the text of hello world. This could be because the text is broken up by multiple elements. In this case, you can provide a function for your text matcher to make your matcher more flexible. So in other words, this is case sensitive. One thing you can do is you can have options here, and then if you control space, you could see that you have an option called as exact. If you make it as false, then I think that this would work. Fingers crossed. Let us see. And yeah, it did work. So if you want to make this purposefully insensitive, you can pass an object called exact as false. Okay. All we are doing is we have to just render something, and then we have to ask some assertions here. Sorry, some query functions, and finally we have to find the functionalities inside the document. This is not at all the end. This is just the beginning. Let us go even more deeper. For now, let me create some components and also have the testing inside that component, right? So what I'll do is I'll just have a folder of the particular component, have that component file along with its testing file, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just have a component called search, which is nothing but input tag, and then you can have another file inside here called search.jsx, and then search.test.jsx. Okay. So you can either have a JSX file or a JS file. That's completely up to you. But I would always love to have JSX extensions, because Webpack anyway finds the extensions and bundles them. So that won't be an issue at all.